Well, hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And of course, I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And as you can see, we are down a few members tonight. Clowns is taking care of family business. He'll be back next week. And of course, Cybernox got stuck working late, so he will be returning. But we do have a special guest with us today, and we have an outstanding show for you. Lots of big topics that are going to fill up your 2-hour Monday evening. Hopefully, you're going to enjoy the gameplay in the background. We are running Titanfall 2. As a matter of fact, I have enough footage to cover the entire show. It's one of my favorite games of the generation. More specifically, this is just one hell of a game that is we're actually going to open up the show with. But before we get into, of course, the incredible topics, we are going to start with the intros, ladies and gentlemen. And let's do that. And let's start with our very special guest. You know him as someone that was our teammate during the Halo tournament. Unfortunately, we got bounced last weekend by Green Pass Gaming, who played an incredible team-oriented match. We just we couldn't grab our footing, but we all did. Well, listen, I'll say all. I did terrible, but Cotton McCast right here was the Sniper Elite. Cotton, welcome to the program, brother.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for having me back. You weren't terrible. I think we could have worked together as a team better, but Green Pass, they're moving around the map as a unit. So
yeah, they were.
Man. But I'm glad to be back. I had a lot of fun during all the games we played. And I'm excited to talk some more fire topics that you put together tonight, man.
Well, thanks for being here, brother. Love that you are a part of the show. And yes, Titanfall is what we're going to open with. I mean, listen, just look at the footage. How come in 2021 that we don't have a follow-up to 2016's in what was my personal game of the year? Now, I understand a lot of people were like, well, Titanfall didn't sell as well. Yeah, but you know what? We'll talk about why it didn't momentarily. But thanks for being here, brother. Let's continue with the introductions. Next up, you know him as another Sniper Elite, one that will shoot you in the face and smile while he's putting a Gundam Mile together because he has skills like that. Please welcome Tempest Sun.
Just keep adding my assassination skills.
You like that, right? You're killing people while putting a Gundam model together. That's skills.
That's right. Yeah, and I know Cotton is a Sniper Elite because I recommended the man, and I know he put some work in. That's my buddy. Anyways, yeah, it's good to be here. Got some good topics, so let's get to it, bro.
Well, thanks for being here, brother. And next up, you know him as the loudest man from the other side of the border, known as Canada. Welcome back to the show, middle-aged gamer guy.
Well, good evening, Boom. Good evening, chat and panel and our guest, Cotton. Yes, guys, we have a great show for you tonight. I am the middle-aged game guy, and I'm super excited to be here, and I'm super excited to talk about Titanfall, one of my favorite franchises as well on the Xbox. So anyways, guys, we have a great show, great topics. Let's get right into it.
Well, thanks for being here, brother. And yeah, I mean, what isn't there to like about Titanfall, for crying out loud? It's big mechs. It's fast as lightning gameplay, and it's still amazing that we don't have an actual official sequel, to be honest. But like I said, we'll get into that momentarily. And last and in no way least, you know him as someone, he's an entrepreneur. He's a fantastic father, and more importantly, an incredible community member. Please welcome the Everborn Saga.
Hello, and welcome to Movie Phone. Oh, sorry. The young guys don't know about that. They're all online.
They're like, what are you talking about, Movie Phone? You old man.
Google it. Yeah.
Now, how's everybody doing? Happy to be here. A lot of topics to discuss. And just a quick reminder, we are in the last week of our Kickstarter that's going on. So check that out, but we'll give you more details later. everbornsaga.com. Check the link at the top. But let's go. I'm ready. I'm excited.
All right. Well, listen, before we get into the actual first topic, kind of wait for people to file on in. We got 113 people here. I want to thank one of the first super chats that came in. Creative Vibes XL in the chat drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, keep up the great work, guys. Well, thanks for being here. Definitely appreciate that. And of course, we want to shout out Lethal Papa. You know him as someone that walks silently and carries a very big band stick. He is the reason why these chats continue to keep out the riffraff. And when I say riffraff, doesn't mean that you don't have money or you have no opinions here. It keeps out the trolls. Basically, we don't like trolls. We don't like people popping in here to basically cause trouble. And of course, with Lethal Papa carrying that big band stick, if you do get out of line, he will send you on your way, and usually it's not politely. So, Alito Papa, thank you so much for being here. Oh, Michael Kulik, welcome, Michael. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat, and he says, "What's up, guys?" Well, sup, Michael. Glad that you are here. But let's get into one of the smaller topics to open up the show as we wait for people to file in. Now, when the Xbox One was released in 2013, exclusives were at the center of the conversation, and Microsoft launched the console with several, though the biggest exclusive came the way of not through their own first party, but through a deal that they made with EA, but more specifically Respawn Entertainment, who released Titanfall 1 in March of 2014. Now, as of today's show, Titanfall 1 has sold over 10 million copies, sparking Respawn to release Titanfall 2 on October of 2016. That's right, the game you see in front of you, the gorgeous-looking, fast-paced, mech battle-based title, is already 5 years old. And I cannot believe that we are playing Apex Legends, which for a lot of people is a great game, but not for Boom. It is a game that I am not a fan of, and I'm hoping that we do eventually get back to a traditional mech-based Titanfall as opposed to 3v3 just running around the map with stupid characters. That's just how I think of it. And again, I'm not trying to dump on anyone, but Apex Legends is not my Titanfall 3. Now, obviously, Apex Legends has made EA a lot of money, which is what these businesses do. More specifically, Respawn is responsible for pretty much doing hit after hit after hit, and I don't necessarily know if they're going to actually release, a Titanfall 3, talk about it, or even give us any information. But I have an article that I pulled from May of 2020 from Screen Rant, where they're talking about Respawn Entertainment and more specifically Titanfall 3's plans. And it says here, whether intentional or not, Respawn has been fueling speculation on a potential of a Titanfall 3 with various teases and references in Apex Legends. In a tweet last year, Respawn co-founder Vince Zampella also stated that the team was working on more Titanfall, saying that they love being able to experiment with this crazy universe. EA followed that up by claiming that a premium Titanfall game would be coming in the near future. All signs seem to be pointing to Titanfall 3 or something very much like it. Now, obviously, not the biggest topic of the day. Maybe a lot of people don't even care for Titanfall, but I do first want to go to Mag, with the gameplay you see in front of you. Yep. And seeing how incredible it looks, what could Respawn, one of the best development houses out there, do with these new consoles, and more importantly, a Titanfall 3? But that's not my only question. Should Microsoft push the envelope if a Titanfall 3 is in fact in development and lock down an exclusive like they did with TF1?
Yes, I agree 100%. I agree with everything that you just said, and of course, what you asked me. I think that the Titanfall 1 deal, even though it was an unproven franchise at that point, or an IP, excuse me, it wasn't even a franchise yet, that it was an unproven IP. However, I thought that Titanfall 1 was magnificent. Titanfall 2 took it to an absolutely different level. Now, as for Microsoft, you know what? I'm going to disagree with you on something, Boom. You said it earlier, just when you started this topic here. You're saying that the exclusives mattered. If I recall correctly, in that first year, in that 2013-2014 launch window of the Xbox One and the PS4, exclusives did not matter. At least to, because I remember that the Xbox One lineup was one hell of a good lineup.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
And remember, nobody cared. It was all about power and price. Remember that? And then all of a sudden, exclusives only mattered when Uncharted 4 launched. Then the goalposts moved so fast, I'm surprised people didn't trip over their own feet trying to move them. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
No. Talk that talk. I like this talk because it's the truth.
Well, dude, I mean, I don't have to rhyme off everything.
I will say this
to
your point, Mag.
Yes.
The one thing that's frustrating as content creators, and we all are a part of this family, is that with Sony's brand and of course their loyalists, it does seem like the goalpost moves to only favor Sony. What you're saying is 100% true. I mean, we have 200 people here in the chat already, and I don't think one person is not shaking their head yup to agreeing exactly what you're saying. But you know what? Even with that said, Microsoft is in a position where a game that is going to and they talked about this. This is something that they were talking about on Gaz's podcast this weekend, where he had Jeff Grubb and Cognito from the Iron Lords podcast, and they were talking about how games as a service, or games that are going to get a lot of gamers to come in and play, work well with Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if there's a Titanfall 3. I pray to the gaming gods that there is. But if I were Phil Spenser, and of course I'm not, I would certainly lock up a Titanfall 3 exclusive. I don't care what bag of money EA wants. You give it to them, you drop it in the Game Pass, and what does that do? That gets people who are not subscribed to do what, Bag? Subscribe.
Yep, exactly. Now, speaking of that, you're saying about games as a service, or even other games where they could even use some form of microtransactions, cosmetics, whatever they want to do. Game Pass is the perfect perfect avenue for this, because you've removed that $60 to $70 paywall right out the gate. Yes, you're paying for Game Pass, I get it, but there's not one game in Game Pass. There's 300 plus now. It's going to be borderline 400 by the end of the year. So, you're getting it basically essentially for free if you're playing other games in there, right? So then, yes, that opens the door to that. Now, speaking of Game Pass, I just want to before I get into Game Pass, I want to get into a couple of numbers here. Titanfall 1 sold $10 million. Sorry, $10 million. My goodness. 10 million copies.
Yeah.
On the Xbox One. For a console that was, quote, struggling, that's one
a huge
hell of
attach rate, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's massive.
Exactly. That is one hell of a feat, guys.
Well, because, Microsoft's is the shooter box. And this is a perfect example of a well-designed shooting, first FPS game that it's going to do well on Xbox. And something, a new Titanfall of this quality could definitely give Modern Warfare a run for its money.
Right. Now, that's the other thing. Now I'm going to move on quickly to Titanfall 2. Sold 4 million copies. Okay, now it was wedged between Call of Duty and Battlefield 1. Now, speaking of which, Battlefield 1, on the other hand, sold 15 million copies. So a lot of those people were removed from the Titanfall equation because they went over and they spent their $60 on Battlefield. They weren't going to spend double that, or maybe even triple that, if they were buying Call of Duty, Battlefield, and then Titanfall. So Titanfall took the hit. Now, this is where Game Pass swoops in. If Titanfall 2, let's just play a game here. Let's play pretend for a little bit. If Titanfall 2 had released on Game Pass,
oh my God, dude,
during that time, you would have had customers, would have had the funds to be able to buy your Battlefield, buy your Call of Duty, and then you could play Titanfall 2 on Game Pass, right? And because, like I said, you've removed that $60 or $70 upfront paywall. And so it makes it more accessible and more financially feasible for a lot of people out there. Not everybody is like us. I mean, I hate to say that. It sounds so arrogant, but I mean, like, we buy basically everything. Everything that's not everything that's not in Game Pass, but you know what I'm saying? We basically buy everything. There's a lot of people out there who love to game who can't afford to do that. And they want to be a part of the community. And I mean, I couldn't imagine how frustrating that would be, that you want to be a part of this amazing thing, this amazing tech, these amazing games, this amazing community, and you just can't afford to do it. This is where Game Pass comes in. Now, that's another thing. Speaking of Game Pass again, sounds like a sermon about Game Pass tonight, but that's what it is, basically. The franchises, okay, the numbers in Game Pass right now it's starting to open the door to franchises that wouldn't get the light of day if they were just going to be released behind a $60 to $70 paywall, because those companies are not willing to risk it. They're not going to say, I'm giving you $150 million, $200 million to produce this huge game, but they're not sure if they're going to get those numbers. And that's a huge problem, especially with the investors. Investors are a pain in the ass. Okay, all they care about is the bottom line. They don't care about anything else. I mean, I get it. I mean, it's their money and everything. But at the same time, these companies are not willing to risk it. And that's where Phil comes in. Yeah. And apparently, as we know, and we're going to talk about later in the show, is that they're talking about how Phil is making all these third-party exclusive deals that are going to be going into Game Pass. Now,
dude, wait till you hear some of the quotes from Jez Corden. Folks, listen. I like to have people filed in. We were closing in on 300 people, which is dope, right? The Xbox topic is going to be the second half of the show. All I can tell you is that hold on to your butts, because wow. And it's funny because it's funny you mentioned that, and I don't want to get too much into it because we're really going to get into the weeds when we talk about it. But man, I pulled some old footage from Phil about what he said about third-party stuff over a year ago, as opposed to what was just said. He really did tell us what he was doing. But keep going.
Yeah, I was just going to say now, as I've Tarantino'd this whole story, now we're getting back to the actual question at hand. Titanfall 3. Titanfall 3 would be an absolute perfect fit for Game Pass. Now, we already know that Microsoft and EA are already in bed with each other. I mean, look at what's happening now. You got EA Play already in Game Pass, as it is. You're getting their games that are going straight to the vault are going right into Game Pass. Like, look at Star Wars Squadrons. Actually, that was one that slipped through my fingers. I never actually purchased it. Thank God. Because now
you saved yourself $40 because it's in Game Pass.
Exactly. And how long did it take? 4 months? Yeah. And it's already there. And that's, and that brings up another point. I still think, and I'm standing on this hill, folks, I still think that Battlefield 6 is going to come day and date in Game Pass. I'm saying that because they're going to do that to bolster. They're going to do it to bolster their fall lineup. And they're willing to put the money down. Look at the excitement that Outriders is getting for going day one into Game Pass. I have PlayStation friends who are going, damn, I got to get that Game Pass, right? That they never would have said that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, last year, or even 2 months ago. But they're saying it now because now you're seeing the results of all this talk and all the hard work and all the acquisitions and everything. Now you're seeing the results of it. And that being the case, Titanfall 3, what a triumphant return after the Xbox One in it was early 2014 when it came out. Imagine Titanfall 3 launching day and date in Game Pass. And you know what? I guarantee Microsoft would be willing to put up the money to get that game made and get that game in Game Pass day one. That's what I'm thinking.
Let me add one slight addendum to that.
Sure.
If it's okay.
Yeah.
I think Mag, I think you're onto something. The only point of contention as I have is that I don't think it needs to be exclusive. I think third-party deals for Game Pass is good enough if it's just in Game Pass. It doesn't need to be exclusive because that would cost it would cost a lot more money. And I think the publishers like EA and everyone else and Square Enix and all of these guys are a lot more amenable. It's like, look, you'll get your sales from PC and PlayStation, right? But we'll give you X amount of money and we'll put it in Game Pass. And I think it will serve the same purpose because guess what? We got 23 studios, 36 teams now because they're opening a new ZeniMax Online studios. 36 teams is enough for our exclusives. But what we want now is AAA games in Game Pass. It doesn't matter if it's on PlayStation. I got to pay $70.
No, fair enough. I actually agree with that. I probably should have been a little bit clearer with what I was trying to say. I didn't mean it to be exclusive to Xbox, but it should be in Game Pass day one. Now, the other thing is, too, by the time, let's say a Titanfall 3 does come out, Game Pass could have anywhere between 25 and 30 million, maybe even 35. Who the hell knows? Look at how fast Disney exploded, right? Disney Plus exploded. Now, the thing is, you look at something like that, let's say 25, 30 million people. That's also 25 to 30 million people that now have access to your to your skins, okay? To your little microtransactions, to your cosmetics. You want to get something cool. You want to get a cool little, trinket for your gun, whatever the hell it is, okay? You've now exposed that to 25 to 30 million people day one. You don't have to sit there and look at the ticker to see how many sales you made, right? So yes, absolutely. You're 100% right. PC, PS5, no problem. I have no issues with that at all. I mean, if you want to go ahead and spend the $70 over there, go by all means. If that's where your friends are, do whatever you got to do. But yes, I think what needs to happen is that these games need to be exposed and need to be put out. Like Outriders, for example. Outriders is not exclusive to Xbox, right? It's coming to PS5. And
yeah, but over there you got to spend $70.
Exactly. But now you're getting into Game Pass day one, and I ain't paying squat. You know why? Because I'm paid up, just like Boom. I'm paid up till 2022. I ain't paying nothing. Yeah. Okay, so I'm getting that, and that was like one of those moments. You wipe your brow. You're like, whew. Like there's $70 I didn't have to worry about now. Right.
And and you know what's crazy, even more so where you are, because you pay $83 or $87 US.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
so
like a PlayStation game with tax is $100.
Wow.
It's $89.99. It's $89.99 in Canada plus tax is $100 for a PS5 game. So guess how many PS5 games I'm buying day one?
Nothing.
0. Okay, 0. They can wait. Okay, because I'm still playing them. I'm still playing my backlog, and I am in no rush to be getting any $100 games. I'll tell you that much. But you know what $100 does get me though? That gives me 7 months of Game Pass.
Yeah, that it
Put
does.
It in perspective. All right. Anyways, I'm done.
No. Great stuff as usual. Hey, listen, this is a conversational podcast, and this is what we want. First of all, I want to welcome in a sixth guest. I saw him in the chat. He's been here the last couple of weeks, and he's here again to give us the best voice in podcasting. Please welcome Crispy Bomb.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? I love your argument, Mag. It is on point, my friend. And I am one of those gamers that absolutely loves Game Pass because I cannot afford to do what some of you guys do. And I relish the fact that you guys can do some of the things you do. But I hope to get there at some point, and that's something to look forward to. So, but yes, I mean, awesome conversation so far.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here, brother. You know what, Everborn, let's bring you into the conversation. But before I do, I'm going to catch up on these incredible super chats. First of all, Paul Grant's here in the chat. Paul, welcome to the program, and thank you for the outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. And we have another one, a big bomb that just came in here from our good friend Michael Kullick. He blesses us with a $20 super chat and says, nothing against Titanfall, but I have to disagree, Boom. They're better off locking down something else that isn't an FPS. They should try to get away from the shooter box image. Too many of them on the platform already. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but you know something? My whole point is this. Titanfall 1 sold over 10 million copies on what people consider to be a dead system, right? The Xbox One was dead, right? It was DOA, dead on arrival. And to sell 10 million copies of anything on a console that was being outsold 2 and 3 to 1 to Sony's PlayStation 4 because of the power narrative and because of the price, you can't argue that there's a fan base here. Now, again, maybe you're onto something. Maybe the exclusive thing isn't necessarily like everyone is about to talk about. Maybe he's onto something where it doesn't need to be exclusive. It just needs to be in Game Pass, because what's going to be interesting is to see how many quote-unquote PlayStation players don't move over to Xbox because Sony duped them this generation. They will never admit this, but Sony pulled a fugazi on them by dropping that $70 price point without really any warning. And now, if you want to play on your PlayStation, each game is going to cost you $77 here in New York, which is absurd. Where if you have Game Pass, that same $77 gets you what? That gets you 5 months, almost 5 months of Xbox Game Pass, and you're getting over 375 games currently. If let's say if there is a game like a Titanfall 3 in their day and date, where do you think the player base is gonna go? I mean, listen, I get people still want to buy their games, and I hear you. You hear the argument, oh, you're renting your games, Boom, you don't really own them. Well, if I want to buy them, I get them at a 20% discount, and I have the option to buy them. Whereas you're spending $70, and you know what? What happens if the game comes out and you don't like it? You're going to go to GameStop and get 30 cents for your game, right? So there you go. I mean, I'm being serious. So everyone, take it away. How important, first of all, Do you want to see Titanfall 3 happen? And more importantly, I know that you have a different argument of locking down an exclusive. I still say exclusive to the box. That's just me, just because Titanfall found its early success as an exclusive. But go ahead and take it away.
So here's the thing about exclusives. Again, to me, so I'll talk about it as a gamer, and then I'll talk about it like business wise. But as a gamer, it makes zero. If something is in Game Pass, to me, it might as well be an exclusive, right? And that's like my PlayStation 5. I have literally bought 2 games for it, right? Miles Morales and Demon Souls, and I had it on launch, right?
Right.
Because there's so much in Game Pass. And whenever you can't hear the about the game Outriders right now without people talking about Xbox. It might as well be an exclusive.
That's true. You're onto something with that. Yeah.
If that is what gets the deal done, and it will cost the Xbox division less money so that they can put it into another locking down another AAA. For me, that's what matters. I think that it being in Game Pass will dominate the conversation, right? They'll still sell whatever they sell on the PlayStation, but people will talk about it as though it's a Game Pass exclusive, right? AAA title. Again, there are enough exclusives coming to wait that you will not be able to get outside of the Xbox ecosystem, that all Game Pass needs is a AAA banger. It's going to be once every month before long, but right now let's call it once a quarter, right? And deals like this, whether it's exclusive or not, I don't think it's going to make a difference to the matter and mind share of sort of the gaming community and consumers at large. And if you want to talk about casual gamers, when they see all these big games that everyone's talking about, that everyone's reviewing, these game of the year contenders, and they're all in Game Pass, that's what's gonna get people to say, hey, I need to be over there, right? So as to Titanfall, I absolutely loved Titanfall. So if it's coming back, great. And one other point about locking down these exclusive third-party deals, I don't like them because a lot of people think of the 360 days as the glory days of the Xbox brand and fandom. I think that the 360 was to the detriment of the brand as a whole, because at that time, Microsoft was only focusing on these second and third party deals. And this is why there are so many untouched sequels that we wanted, because they partnered with people. I don't want them partnering with people and then building up an IP only for the publisher or developer to be like, hey, you got to pay us triple now to make the same game. And then it never comes out, right? This is why we don't have Alan Wake. This is why we don't have Quantum Break. This is why we don't have give me another one.
Rise.
Rise Son of Rome.
Right?
Yeah.
Rise.
Sunset Overdrive 2. Well, that'll be on PlayStation if it ever comes to fruition.
All of these second and third party deals are the cause of us of Microsoft investing in an IP like they did to help bring back Tomb Raider, and then it never benefits the brand. So I say, pardon my French, but fuck those deals, right? Focus on your own IPs, and if you can get a deal to put it in Game Pass, I'm good enough. I don't want to get my hopes up, and then we're doing free advertisement for somebody who has no intentions on keeping it, making a sequel without like price gouging to make it, or it's just going to be, they're going to give it away later, right? Mass Effect ended up not really benefiting Xbox, right? Because then it ended up going everywhere. Just do the deal, get us the game. That's what's important to us. We get to play it for free, because if it's not in Game Pass, I'm not buying it.
I mean, listen, you certainly make a lot of sense, and you know what? I agree with you on that aspect. But you know something, a Titanfall 3 exclusive would be a big deal for many reasons. Titanfall found its life originally on an Xbox. I would love to see it come back in a big way, and you know, and the reason why Titanfall 2 is, again, this is what you're seeing. This is the footage. This game is 6 years old. And it's still, well, no, it's 5 years old, but it looks absolutely next gen. And this is playing on the Xbox Series X. The footage I got recorded, it's an incredible game, and it would be even more incredible if, for instance, they were to do that. Now, again, I agree. There's a lot of points that I agree with that. You know, Xbox Game Pass. And I talked about this a couple of shows ago. Is really the real exclusive, because you're getting all of this content for the price of $15 a month. Sony has no answer for this. They don't. I think that Microsoft has painted them into a corner. Now, again, I'm not saying that Sony is dead. I'm not saying that Sony is going to, you know, take their ball and go home. No, but they are in, I think, a conundrum personally, simply because they have no answer for what is happening at Xbox. You know, Tempest Son, let's bring you into the conversation. You are our resident first-person shooter fan. What are your thoughts of Titanfall 3 potentially coming out? But more importantly, would you like to see this game actually be an exclusive for Xbox and go directly into Xbox Game Pass?
Yeah, man, there's a few games that I think separate the men from the boys, and Titanfall is one of them, amongst like Gears and a few others. The skill ceiling is so flipping high.
It is, dude. You know what? I hadn't played in a while, and I want you to know I got my teeth kicked in.
Yeah, that's what happens, man. You leave it for a bit, and then you just... Yeah, the people that keep playing just keep getting better and better. You know, it is what it is. But I love Titanfall. 2016 was a hard year for me, and that's because two of my favorite franchises is Titanfall and Battlefield, and they launched a week apart from each other, and that was brutal. I hated it.
Yeah, it was. It was awful.
I liked both of them. I liked Titanfall 2 more, actually a lot more, for, you know, many different reasons. But Titanfall is just, man, you know... For a company to this be their first game, Titanfall 1, and to do what they did, they put so many things in that game that so many of us like. Giant mechs, a really cool art style, movement. I mean, this game to me was the bridge. I used to play mostly when I was younger on PC, Unreal Tournament, Quake 3, stuff like that, right? I feel like Titanfall was the perfect mix of the modern first-person shooter like Call of Duty and those old-school arena shooters. You could play it as such, especially even too, because most of the guns you could shoot hip fire. You wouldn't even have to aim down sights most of the time. You know, clear across the map, you could hip fire somebody, and that's what I love that about it. I could go on for hours and tell you why I love Titanfall 2 so much. There was a few things they didn't do as good as 1. One, you know, because they made the Titans characters, there was some balancing issues, you know, things like that. By the way, you're a man of great taste, because Legion's my main. And,
he is the dude. Let me tell
he's awesome.
Something.
I mean, I think he's in a poor state right now because they balanced it so much, and then wherever they left it off, that's just how it's going to be now, because they ain't touching this game anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, I love Legion. So I love the character aspect of it, but you know, there were some balancing issues there. But anyway, I love Titanfall. If 3 comes, they can do so much more now with the processing power. The fact that they were doing what they've already done. I mean, you're talking about bots during the game, and the player count was, you know, pretty decent, but just the amount of mayhem on screen. And for the most part, this game ran pretty good on all the systems it was on. It was at least respectable, right? So imagine what they could do with new tech. Even if they were to go and they couldn't add too much destruction of the terrain, because you know, there would be no terrain left because you're in giant mechs, right? But they could do more like that. They could do more destruction, things of that nature. I've already talked about the art style, but I absolutely love the feeling of the game. Some of the art, that you can put on your Titans, the like nose art, if you will. Just everything. I love it, man. I like it so much more than Apex Legends, but that's, you know, a whole different story. As far as it being exclusive, I can't sit here and say it would do better being exclusive because, one did better than two. We know why two didn't do great, and it's because they sandwiched it in between two different Titans. No pun
Yeah, it was
intended.
ridiculous. They launched Call of Duty, Titanfall, and then Battlefield. They basically sent it out to die.
They did. I have no idea why they did that. It's ridiculous, but being exclusive, I mean, it would be great in a way because they could just fully optimize for one console, right? And if it were to be exclusive on any of them, I don't care what anybody says. These types of gamers, they kind of gravitate towards Xbox. Everybody knows it. If you're a serious first-person shooter fan, I don't want to step on anybody's toes here, but if you really care and you want to be competitive, you're on Xbox Live, you're on Game Pass playing these shooters. It is what it is. So, I think that would be the place to do it. Plus Game Pass, you know what? I kind of feel like I don't know how much they paid Square Enix to put Outriders on Game Pass, but if Outriders has millions of players, day one, day two, day three, and it keeps going up and up, that's going to be one thing and one thing only. That's going to be Game Pass numbers.
Yeah.
And this is going to show other developers the potential of that. If you get a franchise that is prone to do some cosmetic microtransactions and things like that, Microsoft might not have to pay completely out the nose to get these things on there, because there's going to be so many people playing it that they can just sell those microtransactions. And, love it or hate it, some people are just so totally against it. But if it's cosmetic and, cosmetic only, I don't have a problem with it.
Me either.
I'm guilty. None. I do it. I buy it. I do. A lot of people do. Yeah.
Tempest, let me add one point to that. Honestly, as long as it's not play to win, but if they're adding sort of some kind of features, people don't like buying maps anymore, but I would be way more amenable to an in-app purchase or DLC, whatever, microtransaction if I'm getting it in Game Pass. If I paid $60 and $70 for a game, there is almost zero chance, unless you're adding a large story update, that I'm going to pay another microtransaction on top of spending full price for a game. And I think that you and Mag are onto something. As these Game Pass numbers grow, people are almost going to be losing money by not being in Game Pass.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And
that's not paywall.
I think it is going to change the way people are developing these games. It's almost like they're providing a way for big budget AAA studios to do free to play games, even though they're not really free to play, right? And to the other point, because I think Michael Kullick sent in a $20 super chat, and you just brought it up. Xbox is the shooter box, right?
It is.
That's its identity, right? And I said the other day, I feel like they need to find an identity. You know what? They've had one all the time, right? No one says PlayStation has too many third-party, over-the-shoulder, story-driven action-adventure games, right? Because that's what they're good at. That's what they're known for. Xbox is the shooter box. You go to every box for what it can provide you that where it will be the best. Yeah. So you go to Xbox for the best shooters, you go to Sony for the best stories, and you go to Nintendo for the best cardboard boxes. I don't know. The point is, I think that it is good that they're the FPS box, right? And they're getting ready to be, with the Bethesda purchase, the Western RPG box as well. Yeah. So well, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, my last point here too. The other reason it makes sense for Microsoft does kind of like to A, counter program, and B, go tit for tat with whatever Sony might be doing. What I mean by that is they've had the marketing rights for Battlefield for how many years now? I think that's in a large part they're not going to give that up because they want to have the marketing rights to a competitive third-party shooter. Same thing here. PlayStation, I don't know how much longer they have that contract. But if they still have it, Microsoft's going to want their own. And obviously they just hope that theirs is going to take off that year. It's almost impossible to compete with Call of Duty because it just, that is what it is. It's always going to be that way for the most part. The only thing that I can think could really put an actual dent in it is you give a true competitor to it in something like Game Pass. So to me, it does make sense. And just in general, I really, really, really want a Titanfall 3, man. It's if you haven't played these games, please do. Unless you hate sci-fi or you hate giant mechs for some stupid reason. If you don't like that, then yeah, by all means, don't play it. But if you haven't played it yet, just please do it. It is in Game Pass right now due to EA Play. Just do it. The single player campaign's phenomenal. I'm not
it is
gonna lie to
probably
you.
one of the best single player campaigns in all of FPS.
Yeah,
you could play.
I agree with you. If you do multiplayer, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You might get your butt kicked for quite a while before you get the hang of it, but it's worth it. If you get good at this game, it's almost the most fun game to get good at. The only thing I can compare it to, and Crispy's in our panel here, is to the wall bouncing, shotgunning somebody in pieces in Gears of War. That's about the only other thing I can compare that feeling to.
You know, I gotta salute you for that. You know, I got to.
Yeah, that's about the only other feeling that can really compete with being good and putting the time and investing into Titanfall, because you can pull off some stuff, man. That's just really gross. That's the only way I could put it. You can do some cool stuff in this game. So
yeah,
I hope it's true. These rumors about it being a thing. So
well, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, obviously, Vince Zampella, his history is with Call of Duty. He specifically made Titanfall because he wanted to return back to Call of Duty-esque FPS, but something different. And he has a franchise here, and a franchise that without. I mean, listen again, not trying to sound like a fanboy. It's incredible. It's an incredible. I mean, just look at some of the. I mean, this is. I mean, I just got wrecked, but I mean, the mechs themselves have finishers. I mean, come on, are you kidding me? But you know what? Let's get Cotton's, who's another FPS wizard or assassin, if you will. Cotton, Titanfall 3 is something that I believe everyone on the panel believes needs to happen. Not that we want it to happen, but it has to happen simply because this franchise is too good. In your opinion, is this the type of game that not only will do good in Xbox Game Pass, but should Microsoft drop off the bag of money and lock down a Titanfall 3 exclusive for Xbox?
I mean, I don't see why not, to be honest. I think when it comes down to people picking between like shooters, especially when it comes down to casual people. I mean, I remember when Titanfall was first announced at that E3 and it was only on Xbox and it was such a big deal. And I had a lot of friends that were casual gamers who didn't have a 360 even at the time. I don't know why, because I thought everyone did. But a lot of my friends back then who would like, okay, what do? They play like 2K or Madden and then like Battlefield or Call of Duty, and that's it, and I still have a lot of friends like that now who have Xboxes who don't subscribe to Game Pass, because as long as we look at it, it's like, yeah, I can spend $70, have 5 months of Game Pass, but a lot of my very casual gamer friends look at it in a way where it's like, yeah, but I'm really only going to play the one game that is in Game Pass. They're not going to dip and dabble into all these other games unless they have people pulling them to, which they probably don't. And so I guess what I'm getting at is when they'll buy a console based off exclusives. They do. Like, people just do. They still do. Even if it's going to Game Pass or not. And if it's exclusive, it will be in Game Pass, right? That's how it works. So I think it would be smart for them to make it an exclusive, but it's not, I guess, completely necessary as far as like when it comes to casual gamers, because it's well known enough as a shooter at this point, and it will only be more impressive with what they can do with the new tech, that it will bring people in, especially if we're still at the point where it's hard to get either console, right? And then you have a Series S out there, they can get that for cheaper, and then it's just another driving factor on top of Game Pass and everything else they have as far as casual gamers go. Obviously, if it's in Game Pass and you have Game Pass, it's a win either way, but I don't see why not. I mean, Titanfall is a lot of fun. The amount of finesse you can pull off in that game, it's too satisfying, and that's what a lot of players look for in shooters, like Call of Duty. People who like to quick scope or do whatever, and in Battlefield just pulling off crazy snipes or jumping out of jets and doing whatever, right? This game has those same sorts of feelings, and I don't know, man. I think making the exclusive would be smart for them. I don't see why not. It'd be like a coming home sort of thing for it. I mean, that's
I agree.
where it was.
Yeah.
And I just think about it as far as like people, my coworkers, people I know that like they would buy an Xbox for a game like this because it's not going to be anywhere else. You know what I mean? They might, and it's weird to think about. They might not buy an Xbox for Game Pass, considering the value in it, but some people don't look at it the way that, I don't know, we do. It's weird, but because I've tried to talk to all of my friends, like, you should, if you have Xbox, like, just get Game Pass. Like, you know, NHL 21's in there, 2K21 is in there, Madden's, and like everything you're playing is in there. And to have a shooter in there, like if Battlefield goes to Game Pass, that would be huge, right? That'd be a big driving factor for it. But having a game that's a shooter that's at this level be exclusive to it is not only going to be in Game Pass and satisfy that need for people, but it will bring in that super casual audience who's just going to buy 1 or 2 games, doesn't care to have another subscription fee, and you know they're going to play their sports games, they'll play their shooter.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Crispy, let's get you into the conversation. But before I do, Wild Bates drops a very generous $10 of jet and says, finally got my PlayStation 5 disc version. Congratulations, dude. Those things are like basically finding a 4-leaf clover. Might not be around much anymore because I started my own company, but you better believe I will always tune in for Boom shows. Well, first of all, congratulations on starting your own business. That is a big deal. And listen, man, you've supported this channel. Listen, a thumbs up and a like on one of the videos is more than enough there, brother. So thank you so much for all that you do. Michael Kullick drops a very generous $5 super chat and says something like Alan Wake 2 would be a better third-party exclusive deal, especially if they're never going to grab Remedy. Yeah, I still wish they would pick up Remedy. That's just my opinion. But Crispy Bomb, you know, you're someone else that likes shooters. Obviously, you love Gears of War. This Titanfall franchise would, I personally, and you've heard me say this already, would love to see this come back to Xbox as an exclusive, specifically to drop into Xbox Game Pass. I think it would be a big deal for Respawn. I think it'd be even a bigger deal for, of course, EA, who owns Respawn. What are your thoughts on a Titanfall 3? Do you want to see it come? And more importantly, should Microsoft drop off the bag of money and get this as an exclusive?
Well, you know, for me, the one thing you have to realize is that I literally only played Titanfall 2, and that's the first Titanfall I ever played for the first time only about 6 months ago on a community game night. Shout out to Tushy and Noof. You know, I downloaded it because everybody else is playing it. And my God, was I ashamed of myself? I really was. And it's not just because we all know I am not a huge first-person shooter fan. I am not that type of gamer. I've played so many Call of Duties and Medal of Honors and everything else that you feel the camping, you feel the people have, you know, just the spot that they always go to on a certain map, and you just can never get into it. The one thing that I have to say is there's plenty of people that night that played Titanfall a lot, and at least once in a great while, I actually got to kill them. Because you have to understand, the one thing Respawn did with this game is they made the mechs have their own statistics and what they could do. They made the actual, you know, gunner himself, or you want to call him controller of the mech, whatever you want to call him. But, you know, it's just basically you're the player and they have their own statistics. On top of that, each individual thing had different moves. And once I started learning these things, I would only play this in a private match because I'm not good enough. I feel like it's Gears-esque because once you learn all the little nuances, it is really hard to play in a competitive level on the online. And, you know, one thing Max said, he said 10 million. So back in 2016, you know, and we'll say that comes from more 2017, 2018. So if 10 million, there's maybe 30 million consoles bought. That's a near like 35-40% level of purchases on our Xbox. So the logicalness is that it's already an EA play. It's not going to be exclusive technically, but I almost feel like, and especially with Outriders, these multiplayer centric games are going to say, you know what? Game Pass has a huge engagement level. Not only that, I feel like at least in our Xbox community that's really huge Xbox centric, really like promotes games that are good. And we trash on games that suck. We really do. But we also look objectively and we say, this game is meant for this place. I've seen so many people that love Untitled Goose Game. It got nominated for a bunch of like Game of the Year awards. You know what I mean? But for some people, it's not their jam. But we try to explain it in the best way possible. Like, it's just fun. Like, it's weird. It's weird fun. Like, I don't know what else to say, and, for some people, like, especially when Titanfall 2 came out, they just ignored it because you had these big, big games that were really on a roll at that point as well. And Titanfall was just sitting there like, we're kind of the little guy, and that's what sucks for Respawn. But at the same time, now that EA plays in there, even if they don't say, okay, day and date in Game Pass, you're going to probably get it in 2 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I don't feel that Microsoft will still pay money. That's what a lot of people don't realize. They'll be like, hey, we want it in date on Game Pass and you could sell it to everybody else. That's what they're doing with Outriders. Think about it.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
Again,
So
it's going to be interesting.
The bag of money will be sitting there for them.
Yep.
Because they're paying for them to release it day and date on Game Pass, but they still get to sell to all the PlayStation and if it's on Nintendo, if it's on PC, they still get to sell whatever they want. They just they get that bag of money up front, and I think a lot of these developers like that. I'm sorry, I think they do. Because now they're like, oh, we already have this bag. Okay, well, let's go make some more bags, and we get to do that because Microsoft's like, you know what? As long as it's on Game Pass day and date, we'll give you a big bag of money, and you sell more, then that's on you. So that's the way they playing it right now. I'm sorry, with Outriders, the way they're acting about it, it feels like they would do that. And EA Play already in Game Pass, it would probably be day and date on Game Pass, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know what? Again, it's again, they haven't announced Titanfall 3, but E3 is around the corner. Vince Zampella thinks, he has publicly said this is one of his favorite franchises and that he is dying to bring us a third one. They just did. What wound up happening is Apex Legends became such a huge hit that they just needed to throw developers at that to make content. And I think now that they are, doing very well with that particular franchise, they could easily, make a new team, a Titanfall-based team, to simply just make this game. Now, whether it's going to be free to play like Apex or it's going to be a straight up, sequel to Titanfall with a single player campaign and a multiplayer. Who knows at this point? But I definitely want to move on to the next topic. And you know what, folks? The Xbox topic is coming up after this one. This is pretty interesting. And this week, we had some big news come out of Sony. Yeah, Sony actually had some good news for a change. They haven't had some good news in a while. And what's interesting is Jade Raymond. If you don't know who she has been a part of this industry for over 25 years. She was a part of the original Assassin's Creed. She also worked on a Splinter Cell game that sold gangbusters. She's talented. Unfortunately, she signed on with Stadia, and we all know how that worked out. Now, she became a free agent, leaving Stadia, and I said it publicly then, I'll say it publicly now. Microsoft should have immediately picked up the phone and hired her for a potentially maybe her own studio or a new studio they could build around her. But again, I'm not the guy with the check. But she signed on with Sony. She's officially working with Sony to bring the PlayStation 5 an exclusive title. Now, her company, which is known as Haven, it's a Montreal-based studio, and obviously this should bring a big smile to Mag's face, is currently not owned by Sony. She is there as an independent, making an exclusive game for Sony. Now, could that potentially change? Will they throw the bag of money at her if this project that she's working on sells like gangbusters for Sony? I would imagine so. But I just want to read a couple of paragraphs from the official PlayStation blog. This is directly quoting Jade Raymond and what she had to say. She says this: "It's been a strange and difficult past 12 months. The pandemic, social injustice, and job elimination have impacted many of my closest friends, family, and coworkers. All of these factors, paired with an inability to see friends and family face to face, lulled me into a kind of self-reflective cocoon where I had to ask myself some tough questions about what really matters. I've been making games for a long time, over 25 years now. I have had the opportunity to lead the creation of 2 highly successful original IPs and build multiple teams and studios from the ground up. Some of these adventures have been more successful than I could have ever imagined, and others less so. And so today, I'm announcing Haven, an independent studio where many of the talented game developers I have worked with for years and love dearly are coming together to do what's most passionate about. It's time for us to refocus on games in capital," she writes, "in a place where we can practice our crafts without any barriers or conflict. We want to create worlds where players can escape, have fun, express themselves, and find community. We want to pour our passion into this project. We want to make something wondrous for people to experience because we believe in the power of games to bring joy to people's lives, and so does Sony. Their commitment to excellence is unmatched, and it's why I couldn't be happier for the backing and support." And finally, she says this: "Together, we want to create games that are a haven for players, and we want to build a studio that is a haven for developers. So, while we don't have many details to announce today, I want the PlayStation community to know that Haven Studios is already hard at work and an unannounced IP that will be an exclusive. We cannot wait to show you more." Now, there are 2 questions, Mag, and I want to start with you first. This is a big sign for Sony. Right now, whether we want to think about it or not, it's an arms race with development houses. Currently, I would definitely give the nod to Microsoft, not because they're my platform of choice, because they've been making all the moves that Sony has not been. Now, granted, no one's taking away from what Sony has done. This is a big move. My second question to you, well, actually, I'm going to pose it like this. The 2 questions is, how big of a deal is this for Sony? But the second question is, how big of a miss is this for Xbox?
I don't think this is a miss for Xbox. And the reason why is because what you were saying there before, like with Microsoft doing what they're doing, Sony's doing what they're doing, Microsoft is not competing. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but just hear me out for a second, guys. They're not competing anymore. Microsoft could not beat Sony at their game. We know that. Okay? They could not beat them at their game. So they're changing the game.
Yes.
You see what I mean? So what they did is they sat down and they sat in the war room and said, guys, we keep going at them and they keep pushing us back. We can't invade the castle. Like what the hell do we do now? And they're like, well, we got to change the game. Bring in the dragons. I don't know, whatever they got to do. They got to change it up entirely. Okay, so that's what Microsoft is doing. So the way that I see this is wonderful for Sony, wonderful for me, because I'm a PS5 owner and I'm excited to see whatever they come up with in the next few years. Sounds great. I'll wait for a sale because I'm not paying $100. But that's a whole other situation. But the thing is, Microsoft changed the game. So they're looking at, Satya Nadella said it himself. Phil Spenser said it himself. Maybe they'll pick up a studio here, pick up a studio there. But I think my personal feeling, I think they're done with that. Microsoft is now looking big tomatoes, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're looking for publishers. Satya Nadella himself said it. He's like, why even bother building a publishing house when we would just buy one?
Yeah,
You know,
and he
again,
did actually say that in that interview. You're correct.
Right. And I mean, and once again, I said it on your show before. That's FU money, folks. Okay, that is FU money. Can you imagine? That's like Bruce Wayne in the Justice League thing. They're like, thank you for saving my mom's house. And he's like, how did you do it? I bought the bank. You know what I mean? So it's like that's kind of what Microsoft is doing. You know what I mean? So Microsoft's focus is not on these little studios. They're going to focus on the publishers. They're looking at big things. Like your WBs, your Capcoms, your Square Enix, whatever. Okay, whatever they're looking for, they're looking at and of course Bethesda. That's what they're looking for. Someone that can run themselves, because there's no way Matt Booty and Phil overlooking that. There's no way if they keep growing, they can't have their hands in all these pies all at the same time and be able to control them. What they want to do is have these different publishers and report to them. Okay, so they're not going to be worried about all these little studios. Now, the thing is, that's what Microsoft is doing. Back to Sony. What Sony is doing is exactly what has done them very well for generations, 3 generations, 4 generations, in fact. They've done very well with their business model. If it is still going to succeed in the future, we don't know, because as Microsoft is changing the game, we don't know how much they're going to change the game, right? Because if they take an overwhelming amount of Sony players, okay, casual players or whatever, going to go over to the Xbox for that Game Pass situation, then yes, Sony's going to have to sit down and do exactly what Microsoft did 5 years ago and say, guys, what are we going to do now? Because it's going to be this tit for tat. They're going to keep evolving and changing. Sony, on the other hand, they're really good at picking up studios, creating studios from the ground up, or even fledgling studios, and molding them, nurturing them, and creating them into these big, awesome first-party studios that make these games. I don't care what anybody says. I was there day one. Yes, I'm that old. I was there day one for Naughty Dog's first game, and it sucked. Okay? Sucked. What is Naughty Dog now? Naughty Dog is one of the best studios in the whole damn world. You can lie to yourself all you want. Okay? They're one of the best out there. You've got your Sony Santa Monica's. Okay? You've got even Ben's studio. Like, look at Ben's studio. They weren't a monstrous studio. You got Guerrilla Games doing their thing. But Ben's studio did something. I love Days Gone, by the way. I love it. Adore it. Okay? 70 hours in, by the way. I almost got the platinum. But anyway, the point is, they nurture these studios. They give them time. They give them the funding or whatever. And what do they release? They release incredible games. Insomniac, another one. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Right? So I say that something like this, I would really keep your eyes open for this studio, Haven Studios, because I have a feeling whatever they are going to work on, Sony will give them the time.
Yeah.
They give them the money. And they say, listen, you're not releasing squat until it's damn near perfect. And I will never, ever, ever fault Sony for doing something like that. If they delay Uncharted 5 17 times, go right ahead. I got other stuff to play on my Xbox and other stuff to play on my PlayStation. Yeah. Okay, I can wait for Uncharted 5 because when it does come, I can sit down and almost guarantee that it's going to be magnificent. As for this Haven Studios, this woman has 25 years in the biz with some of the best companies in the biz, especially Ubisoft and especially Assassin's Creed in the fledgling years of that franchise. Okay, which a lot of like hardcore Assassin's Creed players have all said that those early games were the best ones in the series. I disagree, but that's just
I would disagree as well. I love 2, but there's nothing like the last couple.
The last 3 were just remarkable for me. Anyway, I love that sort of like RPG like kind of thing. But anyway, the point is that she's got the chops. You know what I'm saying? She's got the chops. She's got the enthusiasm. I read that article and read what she had to say. She sounds pumped to do something really great for Sony, and that's wonderful. And like I said, we're all going to reap the benefits because we're all PlayStation 5 owners. We're not Xbox. We're not ponies. We're multiple, multi-console owners. So I look forward to whatever they got going on. But like I will say that Sony's going to continue down this path of nurturing their studios, releasing first-party titles. Maybe not all the time. I don't know what the frequency of which these titles are going to be coming. But, if they're gonna have to do something, because when Microsoft starts firing that Gatling gun, okay, they're gonna be in trouble if they don't start releasing, if they don't start going tit for tat, which I don't think they can. But like I said, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyways, long story longer, I just like to say that this Haven Studio situation, I'm going to still wait 2-3 years because they're not going to show anything for at least 2-3 years down the road.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when they do, I'm super excited to see what happens. But as for Microsoft, like I said, it's nothing against this Haven Studios. I'm just saying that Microsoft's aims are a lot bigger. They're looking at something else. So I don't think that they're even interested in this kind of thing anymore.
That's a great point. Everborn Saga, let me get to you. But first of all, let me catch one of these incredible super chats. Dan the Man Cunningham, good friend of the show, generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "What's good, Boom and crew? Waiting on the Boom shirts where they're at." Yes, you know what? Dinero Panero, who is currently working on a lot for me personally, is redesigning all 4 of the logos. So he has full carte blanche, take as much time as he needs. When those 4 designs are available, I've already reached out to Teespring. I'm teaming up with them to bring you guys and gals shirts. Obviously, I can't put them on the channel yet because I'm not at 10K, but I will be selling them through Teespring. I'll be, supplying that link once those shirts are up and live and ready to go. So thank you for your interest, Dan, and thank you for, of course, the super chat. And we have Bernard Miller drops a very generous $2 super chat and says supposedly there's a good wait time to get into wait time to get into Game Pass. Huh? I mean, I don't know what that means, but if you listen, now's the best time to get into Game Pass because you're getting again. Some people will disagree with me.
I think he means for developers.
Okay. Yeah.
I was confused for a second.
Yeah, you know what? You might be onto something, and I think you're right because I think everybody's going to want to get into Game Pass. And there is going to be a line. Great point, dude. Michael Kullick, wow, dude. He drops an additional $20 super chat and says this: acquisition ideas from Microsoft that I bet no one has thought about. Apocalypse Games should be purchased, run by Dennis Dyack, creator of Eternal Darkness. Well, that dude has got the chops. And mostly importantly, Too Human. Too Human was freaking dope. That is a game that people slept on. Great. Wow, bringing us back to the 360 days. He says would guarantee a sequel. Yeah, I would. I'm right there with you. I'd love to see a Too Human sequel. But Everborn, is Jade Raymond a big deal for Sony? And or is it a big miss for Microsoft?
I would say we don't know yet.
All right.
And the reason why, right? Some people have said this in the chat, right? Like, when was the last time that she shipped?
I think she was she headed the studio at Ubisoft that did Blacklist.
How long ago did that come out?
That's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
Right. And then she was attached to EA when they were doing that 1313 Star Wars project, right?
I don't know. Was it Jade Raymond? Was she part of that?
She was part of Star Wars Battlefront 2. That was at least the last one.
Okay. So the thing is, and I my rule for this is the same rule that I had for the initiative, which is if it's a new studio, it takes time to see what it will be, right? You have to put your processes in place, right? So a big name hire or a big name studio head doesn't do it for me. What does it for me is when we see what they release. Now, will they be a Respawn and give us something amazing like when Titanfall first started out, or will it take some time for them to get off to the races, right? And at that point, they're not. It's her studio Haven is not owned by PlayStation yet, right? Now, people are saying it could be one of those Insomniac type deals where it's like, hey, do this, prove yourself to us, and maybe we'll acquire you. But who's to say they want to be acquired? She wants to be acquired, right? So let's see. My eyes are on it, right? She has the pedigree, but we don't know anything yet. So I am not excited, nor am I brushing it off yet. My eyebrow is up. That's it. That's all I can give this thing for now, because we haven't seen anything yet.
You know what? And again, I think that's a perfect stance. We really don't know what she has up her sleeve, so to speak. But Tempest Sun, you're back, brothers. Let's get your opinion on this. Jade Raymond, she has 25 years of experience. I think that she still has it. That's just my opinion. I've been a fan of her work for a very long time. I think that she was given a blank check to go to Stadia, and listen, I think every one of us would have went. But the truth of the matter is that she's a developer at heart, and she obviously knew that she made a bad mistake. But sometimes your family, you got to pay the bills, and it's hard to walk away from a blank check, and that's probably what happened with Stadia. But then Stadia is now defunct, so now she's a free agent. Whatever she has, Sony immediately, and that's the one thing good about Sony. They see things, especially specifically for games that they believe are going to be big with their fan base. They know how to read the cards, or the tea leaves, if you will. Is this a big deal for Sony? But more importantly, is this a miss by any stretch of the truth for Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean, it's how much of a miss, we don't know. For all we know, she could be, as far as I know, this isn't a new studio that's owned by Sony. It's her studio.
Yeah, it's her independent studio.
Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from indies or lower budget games. Trust me, I am not. I'm really not doing that. But this isn't an indication. I don't think that it's immediately going to be what her past work was. So I don't know what level of a miss it is, but of course it's a miss for Microsoft. Anytime anybody does anything exclusive for another platform, it's a bit of a miss for Microsoft, or it would be a miss for Sony if she came to Microsoft with her game. I don't hold her to the same regard as some other people do. If you're just talking about, Stadia thing is not her fault. Absolutely 100% not her fault. But as far as I understand, the Star Wars project she was working on, yeah, big bad evil EA, of course, they do a lot of sketchy things. We just got done talking about how they murdered their own franchise, which was Titanfall, right? But as far as I know, that project was going absolutely nowhere. And, she was the head of that. So I don't know. I'm assuming she still has the chops. Sometimes stuff just doesn't work out, and it gets closed down. It is what it is. I still think Platinum have the potential to be a phenomenal studio, but they toyed around with Microsoft's money and screwed up Scalebound. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes stuff just happens, man, but yeah, it's a miss for Microsoft, of course. And every time one of these deals go down, everybody knew she was a free agent. So you're like, who's going to get her? There's other companies and publishers that could have picked up her game, but the first one that comes to mind, is it Sony? Is it Microsoft? Or is it Nintendo maybe? Or, who's going to pick up her stuff? And this time it was Sony, so I don't know. She's worked good with Sony in the past. So kudos to her, man. Let's see what she comes up with, to be fair to her though, I wouldn't expect her game to be the utmost AAA big budget thing on the planet. You know what I'm saying? If maybe Sony gave her that much money, she could have that many employees under her belt, that many developers. But, I would just keep your expectations lower, and just, I guess, trust in her creative direction. But I don't think it instantly means it's going to be another Uncharted. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, again, whatever she has designed or, did a storyboard for or pitched to Sony, they liked it enough to lock it up to be an exclusive for the PlayStation 5. Now, again, we don't know what it is. We have no inkling, but I would imagine that we'll know something in the next couple of years, because Sony is good at letting us know what games are coming out that are exclusive. That is an absolute fact. So I'm again, as a fan of her work, I'm very interested to see what she brings to the table. Cotton McCass, let's get your opinion on this. Do you believe the Jade Raymond signing by Sony is a big deal for PlayStation fans? And more importantly, do you think that Microsoft might have been too slow on this one?
I'm not super familiar with her specifically, her work. I mean, I've probably played some of those games, but like Tempest said, I mean, sure, it's a miss if it's going to be an exclusive. I think they were just frying bigger fish recently. Like I think it was Mag who said, they're kind of going more towards the route of publishers, and I think they've poached a lot of talent already. Like just with what they have at the initiative, like big top level talent. Not that she isn't, but I feel like because she started her own studio and she's doing an exclusive game for PlayStation. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I feel like maybe if it wasn't a whole studio, I don't know if they could have just got her and brought her on, they probably would have gone for something like that. But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know a lot about. You guys said she was involved in the Star Wars game that got canned, or she was in Battlefront too. I thought I heard two different games there.
Yeah, she was running Vicarious Visions?
Vicarious Visions,
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was making like a story-based open world Star Wars game,
yeah.
and it got axed.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you never know. You never know till it comes to fruition. If it's like damn, we really missed out on that one. But I think there's just a lot in the pipeline. So it's good on for PlayStation. I think they needed something right now, but who knows? I'm excited to see what they could be working on. It's definitely at least a miss in the sense that it's not coming to Xbox, but they have so much going on as far as talent and studios and now publishers that can't really knock them for it. So not too much for me on this one, but hopefully she puts out some great art, man.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And again, we'll know in a couple of years what she's up to. We might even be able to get a title or something. Again, Sony's good like that. If they know that they have something special, they will be the first one to put it out there for everyone to get excited about, even if it's years out. Finally, before we get to the big Xbox topic of the show, Crispy Bomb, let's get your opinion on this. Big miss for Microsoft or even bigger gain for Sony?
It's really because I'm one of them people that actually keep the same energy. When Daryl Gallagher was signed to the initiative, I said, this is going to be good. And, Jade right now, the only difference is that she has her own studio. Now, we haven't really went into the talent behind her because, from what I've seen, it's more of producer, director, all these type of roles that are perfect for somebody to lead, an example into gaming. But at the same time, we're going off her talent, and really her talent is leading a team. So what Sony did was actually brilliant. Now, what talent comes in behind, because now you have that extra Sony money, as we like to call it.
Right.
That could be a big deal. Now, the problem is that what talent is left. And, like we like to say, a lot of people have ignored what Stadia attracted, including herself. But I mean, she's worked on games like The Sims, Metal Gear Solid, freaking Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, and even most recently Battlefront 2. So, she's had hits, misses, whatever. She's been in different roles: director, executive producer, even SVP of management of something. Like, it's just like she has hit all these different notes as far as leading a team. The team that she produces for, this exclusive for Sony, because that's really what's going to attract people to begin with, is going to mean something, because now you have a cash flow in some way, shape, or form. So let's see what happens in the future. But as of now, I mean, her talent, as far as, the games that The Sims in 2002, The Sims Online, she was a producer on. I was like, dude, that game was a phenomenon in 2002.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. A lot of people can ignore it, but it felt like your mom was playing that game. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you could say what you want. It's not a game like some of us gamers love, but man, my girlfriend at the time was playing that game and she freaking loved it. And there were so many others. So, she's worked for EA, Ubisoft.
Hey, Tick Crispy, I'm sorry. I just real quick. You know what's funny about The Sims? If you play that game legit, no cheating, that game is hardcore, bro. Like that game is really difficult. Your Sims can like freaking die. They don't go anywhere. That game is awful. It is like the Dark
Yeah, well,
Souls of freaking.
I was
like,
actually when I started because one of my girlfriends was playing that, and I'll tell you a quick little story.
yeah,
I was teaching her how to play the game because I used to play Sim City on my Gateway 2000 on my PC. And I used to play that, and I was like, dude, it's the same thing. It's just you have to treat each individual person as a city.
yeah.
That's all you have to do. And she looked at me, she's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, like you have to, like, they have to do, normal person things. So, think of them as a whole city. Like you have to take care of this, take care of that, take care of that,
Right.
and then all of a sudden they're happy.
Yeah.
But then I was one of those, I was like, I'm bored of this. And I'd build a wall and they'd be sitting in the middle and they just go and die. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. But I mean, there are a lot of people that really love those type of games. And I was like, holy crap. Like I didn't know that, she was a producer, which is not a small role. You know what I'm saying?
No, not at all.
On a game like
really
that.
Big roles in her career.
Like almost every role, like, dude, Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4. You know what I mean? Like some of these games, people can love or hate them, but she's been producer, managing director, executive producer. Like, dude, she is made to, create her own studio. So yes, it is a loss to Xbox because they got so much going on at this point. They just want to get games out, and that's my opinion. They need to get these games out that they've been developing. They have great studios, and you have the initiative, which has been sucking up a lot of talent. They just let it be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Sony grabbed her up, and they could regret it at one point.
Yeah, well, you know what? Only time is going to tell whether or not this is a miss or a hit. And again, as a fan of her work, and she's been in the industry for a very long time. If you're a Ubisoft fan, like I am a die-hard Ubisoft fan, so of course I have an affection for the work that she's done. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of game is it going to be. Is it going to be your typical third-person over-the-shoulder? Is it going to be a stealth game? For all we know, it could be a Sims-type game. We don't know, but whatever it is, it was good enough for Sony to obviously sign her to an exclusive deal, and I'm sure that came with a big bag of money. But listen, folks, you're here because we are talking Xbox, and that is where we're going to go next. Okay, so this is the big topic of the show. So buckle in, folks, if you are someone that wants to know what Phil Spenser has been telling us that he was going to do and has come to fruition in recent interviews. Now, look, the title of this particular topic is Xbox is reportedly heavily involved in what they're calling big third-party studios for future exclusives for Xbox Game Pass, though this really shouldn't be a surprise because obviously this is something that Phil has been talking about for quite some time. As a matter of fact, I pulled a quote from an interview from Phil Spenser talking about this exact point from early last year, and this is what Phil had to say. In addition to all of our first-party games arriving day and date into Xbox Game Pass, the team is focused on bringing many more third-party games as well to the service. Our investment in Xbox Game Pass and that portfolio continues to be strong. He says this in closing. We've got some more really great, strong announcements to come about these things and what is officially coming to Xbox Game Pass. Now, I want to kind of turn your focus on to friend of the show, Jez Corden of Windows Central, who had a ton to say on last week's new episode of the Xbox 2 podcast with community good guy and friend of the show, Randall Thor. Here are some of his quotes that are going to make you smile from ear to ear. Let's just say that. This is coming directly from Jez Corden. I know Microsoft is heavily involved with some big third-party studios right now for exclusive content. Some of the projects I've seen pitched are the kind of games that I'd expect to be sort of on the level of where Bungie was with Halo back in the day. The kind of 10-year plan sort of thing like Asobo doing with Flight Simulator. Microsoft is still moving ahead. I've seen things that are like years out that are incredibly impressive that made me think that some of these studios involved could end up being acquired because of the scale of some of these projects. But it's so early that these things might never come to fruition. You know, I always think back to Scalebound, to Phantom Dust, these games that were sort of announced that never sort of appeared. More games than we've ever known that never got off the ground or got passed over the prototype stage. I don't like teasing things that are really far out because it leads to disappointment. But you know, for the sake of this podcast and for you guys talking to the audience, I will just say that Microsoft is always planning things. It's not like they bought Bethesda and thought, okay, we're done now. According to Jez, and this is quoting him directly, they ain't done. Some of the things they are exploring are just crazy. Okay, panel, here we go. Now, I read that and I got goosebumps because guess what? I'm an Xbox fan first. And to know that Microsoft is looking to do third-party deals to Xbox Game Pass has me unbelievably excited. And what I like about this is not just like for instance in Outriders that it's coming to Game Pass but also releasing on the PlayStation. No, straight up exclusives. Mag, I got to go to you first on this. Hearing what Jez Corden had to say, what are your thoughts and how excited are you to see what Microsoft has planned?
Well, first of all, I heard the police sirens in the background because this is about to get crazy. Now, let's get into this. Everborn was saying something interesting a little bit earlier in the show, that games don't need to be exclusive, especially when we're talking about third-party deals, okay? Third-party games, excuse me. They don't need to be exclusive to Xbox. You know, by putting those third parties in Game Pass, what you've done is that they're not exclusive. But there's one thing that you just won, and you won Mindshare.
Mindshare is worth its weight in gold, my friend.
That is the new exclusive. Okay? It's not about exclusive this, exclusive that, whatever. The new exclusivity is Mindshare. Yes, Mindshare has always been there. We all know it. Okay? We all know it. But when you're doing what they're doing, okay, like I said in my last little talk there about changing the game. Changing the game doesn't mean it just has to be right on Xbox. It could go to Xbox and PC or whatever. First-party stuff, this is not included. I'm talking about third-party only.
Third-party stuff, yes.
Yeah, like before anybody goes nuts in the chat or something. But the point is, this is all third-party stuff. Doesn't have to be exclusive, but you won the Mindshare. Now, that being said, you look at the PlayStation 4 era. What did PlayStation 4 do better than any other company out there when it came to third-party titles and third-party deals? They won the Mindshare every single time.
Indeed. Yeah.
It didn't matter if it was better on the Xbox One X over the PS4 Pro. It didn't matter that it was native 4K on the Xbox One X, like, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2. It didn't matter. Sony had the Mindshare because they had the Mindshare of the casual community. I'm not talking about the people who are here listening to the show. No casual bro shooter sitting here listening to this right now. These guys in the chat and gals in the chat, and of course all of us in the panel, and anybody's going to listen to this later on, we're all hardcore. So we know everything that's going on. We know that Red Dead Redemption 2 was not an exclusive. However, when you walked by GameStop/EB Games up here in Canada, okay, in the door or in the window, they had a big blue sign and it said Red Dead Redemption 2, and right underneath, with the biggest letters I've ever seen, it said, exclusive PS4. Yeah. And then there was really small writing underneath that you needed a goddamn microscope for, and it said exclusive hat and slacks. Okay? Right? But that's what happened. But you know what it did? You know how many of my friends thought that the Red Dead Redemption 2 was only on the PlayStation? You know how many coworkers we were talking about? They're like, hey, I'm just using this as an example because it's the one that comes to mind every time. And they're like, hey, you getting Red Dead Redemption 2, man? I love the first one. That was great. And it's the guys who made Grand Theft Auto. These are like, two totally casual dudes. And I'm like, yeah, I already got it on my Xbox. And they're like, it's only on PlayStation. And I'm like, where the hell did you see that?
Do you work at my workplace?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Same
And I'm like, where the
conversation.
hell did you see that? And they're like, well, when I went to go get it at EB Games, there's a big sign in the window. And then I'm like, read the small print, kids. Okay, just like a lawyer, read the small print. Okay, because like it said, in the small print, hat and slacks. Okay, it did not say exclusive to PlayStation, but they're masters of marketing. And that's what they did. They won the mind share. And like I said, when the Xbox One X was outperforming the PS4 Pro, it didn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
They had the mind share. So like I said, this is what I'm saying. But anyways, the point is this. Another thing I wanted to bring up, okay, besides the mind share, is what you were talking about these games coming out. Listen to what Jason Ronald said on ILP, for example. Okay, he said what he was looking forward to the most this year hasn't even been announced yet.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay,
isn't that just crazy? Knowing what think about this, folks. We have the indie show happening this Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Which, shameless plug, I will be covering live. I'm going to be doing Breakfast of Boom 10 to 12, and then doing a second stream. Literally, we're going to be streaming the event live as it happens. You're going to be able to hear our voices reacting to it as well as the actual event. I have all the bugs worked out, and yes, we're going to be going live from the show, so you guys can hang out with us and get the opinion. But dude, they have at least double digit at least 15 to 20 games on top of what we know from like Halo, and there are others, dude. It's crazy.
Right. So now you think about this. Now let's get back to these third party titles. If you market those just like Sony did in the last generation, which was absolutely brilliant, and it won them let's face it, their first party was also stellar. I mean, give me a break. Almost every single one of their exclusives was in the Game of the Year category. Yeah. Every single year, can't argue it. And if you actually sat down and played them, you also can't argue it. They are the best games of the year every year. So, maybe, I don't even know how Animal Crossing got in there, but that's a whole other ball of wax. But the thing is, these games, okay, were all stellar. Now, what they did, those third-party games, Call of Duty, same thing. Okay, they did the same thing with Call of Duty, did the same thing with, like I said, with Red Dead and all these other games that they have the marketing deals with. This is where Xbox has to make the big move and put Battlefield 6, and then underneath, I want the same size letters as that Sony poster that says exclusive. And then underneath it says M16 on game, whatever. And then right underneath that, Game Pass.
Listen, Mag,
yes.
You might get that with that GameStop deal, right?
Yeah. That's right. Yes.
Well, did you guys see what I posted on Twitter today? As a matter of fact, it's funny you should even mention that, Everborn. I had gone to see how many points I had. I was going to cash some points in. I'm always good for points on GameStop because I buy most of my stuff from there. And I noticed that there was a welcome to the family Bethesda advertisement for Xbox, and I'm like, this is how you know this deal is big when GameStop is advertising. It's just bananas.
Well, that's the thing. So what they're going to have to do now, speaking of advertising, Battlefield 6, right underneath it, on top of it, Game Pass. Whatever other title, whatever this unannounced title is that's coming out, which is probably third party too, Game Pass. I want the Game Pass words just as big as the name of the game. And you put them right next to each other because what you're doing now is that you're training people. You're training consumers. That's exactly what you're doing. You are training them to see that name over and over. Coca-Cola has been around for 120 years.
Yeah.
Do they need to advertise? Really? If you sit back and think about it, does Coca-Cola have to advertise?
No,
Not
but they
really.
do.
But they do every day. They beat the shit out of it until it's in your face. And you're just like, Coca-Cola this, Coca-Cola that. You watch Super Bowl, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. And I'm like, guys, we get it. 120 years, man. We know it's there. And we know that when you go to the restaurant and they're going, I want a Pepsi. I'm sorry, we have Coke. Whatever. You're getting it. That's the point. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, until every single casual in the entire world, until all the students in my son's class are all walking around saying Game Pass. That's how you do it. And that's what they're going to have to do. My son knows Game Pass. He's a subscriber. He's only 8 years old. But because I game share with my wife, we have Game Pass. He's got Game Pass. He knows it. And he's only 8. And he's telling his friends that they don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know what's going, half of them don't even know how to tie their shoes yet. But I mean, the point is they have to market and market and market and market, because when you get that name out there, but my son does know, though. He knows McDonald's. He knows, these other companies, whatever out there. He knows all of them because they pound it into your skull. That's what Microsoft needs to do. These third-party titles, you have to make it so attractive. I mean, apart from the fact that the price is only $15 a month, like let's get real, guys. That's incredible to get all these games, and whatever third-party games, even more incredible, right? But that's mostly for us. So you got to pound it into the heads of every single casual out there, but you have to make it worth their while. So that's why you have to bolster up. Now, let me say, there's the other thing. You don't think that Phil and company and Matt Booty and everybody else know this? They do know this. And that's why EA Play is in there. EA Play is not in Game Pass by some freak accident. It's in there to attract the casual gamers. Just like Cotton said about 15 minutes ago, Madden 21, NHL 21, FIFA 21, FIFA Football Manager, okay? And then you've got all the shooters. You got your Battlefields. You got your Titanfalls. You've covered the bases except for Call of Duty. That is literally the dinner plate for all the casuals, right? Your sports, your shooter. You've covered it.
Yeah.
So now, how do you keep them in there? By giving them new sports games and new shooters and whatever else that you think that the casual market, especially third-party titles, because let's face it, third-party titles outsell exclusives. I mean, every time. FIFA, it comes out every single year. But guess what it outsells? It outsells every single exclusive out there. Last of Us 2, outsold by FIFA. God of War, outsold by FIFA. Okay?
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. So that's why they're doing that. And that's why I said, like, EA Play is not in there by accident. That was designed on, that was part of their design to attract those people in. They have to keep doing it, and they have to do it consistently, because there's nothing more that wins people more over than consistency. I've said it in my profession for many years, for the decades I've been working in my profession. Consistency is king. And that's what they got to keep doing. So whatever they're doing, I'm super excited for it. But you know what? They got to hammer home the Game Pass.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Real quick, I want to bring Everborn Saga into the conversation about these third-party exclusive deals. But before I get to you, let me catch up some of the super chats. We have Adam Mass drops a very generous $2 super chat and says this: I hope it's not another Death Stranding. I guess he was talking about what Jade Raymond's going. I mean, listen, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not like what I saw, and I wound up playing the game. My brother bought it for me. And I got to tell you, 60 hours later, Death Stranding is not for everyone, sure, but it was the multiplayer that wasn't a part of the game, supposedly, that really won me over. It just was incredible. Again, not for everyone, and I get why people were bored with it, but listen, it's not your thing. I hear you. We have Donovan 89. Drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Santa Monica Studios Shannon Studstill is still a better option. Yeah, so you know what? I don't recognize that name, but if you're saying she's good, brother, listen, you know what? Maybe she joined the initiative, because a lot of those ex-Sony Santa Monica devs did. He drops another outstanding $2 super chat and says, that's why Xbox hired the Netflix executive. Yes, they actually made a big hire with a big-time Netflix executive to join Xbox, and probably to specifically work with Xbox Game Pass. We have Rocker Corey drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, can you guys talk about third-party games like Avengers now perform better on Xbox Series X after latest patch? This trend will only continue as tools get better. Yeah, I mean, listen, this being that this is a multi-plat show, we're really not going to get into that. But I mean, again, I don't think anything can save Avengers at this point. I put it on the other day with the new patch, and I was like, yep, I know why I stopped playing it, because the game is just boring. It is just boring as F, unfortunately. But Everborn, listen, Phil Spenser a year ago talked about the importance of third-party exclusives. And here we go, Jez Corden talking about it almost a year later. Phil is always giving us tidbits. Like, he puts down, you know, the little crumbs for us to follow. And most of the time we overlook them, but not this time. What are your thoughts on what Jez had to say about these massive third-party deals that could eventually be studios that they purchase because of the size of the project? You're muted, Everborn. There you go.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so I was saying he made the, you know, the end of it, that last part of the statement is what stuck with me. Like, he made the Asobo reference, like it's going to be sort of these 10-year deals like Asobo and Flight Sim, and that kind of thing. If it's that kind of deal, I'm all for it, as long as Microsoft owns the rights to the property, right? I just do not want to be in a situation.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
Right. Let's not do the thing again where we're gonna and you know, the studios are just, you know, doing business there. People got to get paid. I completely get all of that. No shade at them. This is just business. It's not personal. It's not show friends. It's show business, right? But what happens is, it's like a drug dealer, right? Like, the first hit is free. We'll put the game out, right? Everybody's gonna love it. It's in everybody's head. And now when you want the next one, that's when you're gonna have to pay, right? And at that point, as far as the studio is concerned, Microsoft needs it more than they do, right? They'll just make another game with another publisher. But the IP itself, if Microsoft doesn't own the IP and the publisher doesn't have the exclusive rights to develop, or the studio doesn't have the exclusive rights to develop it, then sure. But I really think Xbox got themselves into trouble with these kind of deals, and they seem to work out for Sony really well, and they don't really seem to work out for Microsoft. So for me, and my money, I hope they work out deals for Game Pass and not making things that we'll end up not seeing sequels for. Now, if they buy the studios, I'm all for that as well. But again, how many studios can Matt Booty manage?
Well,
right?
You know what? Again, I think that's probably why the Bethesda's deal is set up the way it is, and I think that obviously the next, you know, Bethesda level purchase is probably going to be a publisher as well, so they can keep those things intact. Let their inner workings work, if you will. Like, Matt Booty is handling all of the first party, which is 15 studios. Like, he's handling those on his own. Obviously, Todd Howard and that crew are going to handle the business for Bethesda, and whoever they decide to pick up, whether that's a Square Enix, whether that's a Capcom, who knows at this point. But they would keep their publishing arm intact, so they could handle the business, so nothing would change, at least in my opinion.
Can we just talk about this for a second? It's something that I don't think gets highlighted enough. Microsoft purchased Bethesda, and we didn't hear about any layoffs.
No, they right? said they weren't changing anything.
And that, I think, needs to be commended, because people talk about all this, this is bad for the industry and consolidation. These are people that are now sort of getting job security. And again, if we hear, a couple of months from now that they just waited a little while to let the dust die down and they let people go, then I'll change my tune then. But right now, I want to tip the hat that I'm not wearing to Microsoft for keeping all of those people employed. And again, it's so smart. It's so smart to say, we want to get a whole publisher, keep them intact and let them do their thing, right? Because again, once you start to get into these number of studios, it becomes very difficult to manage them all under one person, right?
Right.
Let Phil work on the vision, and let Phil work on, you know what I mean, doing more acquisitions. Let Matt Booty take care of the 15 Xbox Game Studios, and let Todd Howard or whoever runs that stuff over at ZeniMax.
I believe it'd be Pete Hines would probably, him
I
and
thought
Todd
Pete
Howard.
Hines was marketing.
Maybe.
But anyway,
He is marketing. Yes.
But and listen, I think we are going to see. Here's the thing. Part of the reason Microsoft, or the Xbox brand, I should say, lost a lot of mind share is because at times they have befuddled us with their marketing. And I think that with Pete Hines aboard, and just the whole Bethesda marketing machine, I think we're going to see people are going to have a different vision of the Xbox brand. And I think part of that is going to be helped by the marketing arm of ZeniMax. And I think, and that is part of the reason, aside from stellar games, that Sony has been so successful, is because their marketing has just been sort of spot on, meaning reading the room and giving their fans what they want and having a certain space in the general consciousness. I think we're going to start to see that again.
Yeah.
With,
No, I mean,
acquisition.
You make a lot. You make certainly a lot of sense.
And just back to the point at hand, for these third-party deals, the other thing that sort of, if I'm reading the tea leaves there, it tells me that there's going to be a lot of games as a service kind of things going on. If you're talking about games with 10-year plans, or is that going to be more stuff like Sea of Thieves, right? And that's fine, but it's good because it's going to get more players into the brand, but that's a little bit less interesting to me, right? I would like to, if they brought on a developer, a studio, and said, okay, I want you to have a 10-year plan, and this is going to be like 10 seasons of a show, and you're going to make an episodic story-driven content that they were going to release every couple of months, a new episode on Game Pass. That kind of deal is super interesting to me. But if it's going to be another sort of like games as a service thing, I hope that's not what this refers to. And maybe it's fine. It's just less interesting to me. And one other point that is sort of tangentially related to this, because Jez did bring up Flight Sim. I've been mulling this around in my head. How cool would it be if there was an update to Flight Sim that was like a fighter pilot update, kind of like Ace Combat, and it was all sort of online and you could fly in real-time weather? Anyway.
Again, that is kind of dope, and I'd love to see that, because I mean, I'm going to play Flight Simulator, but I'm not going to play it, exclusively, because flying planes is just not my thing. But yeah, I mean, listen. All I know is that Phil talked about this a year ago, and here we are talking about it now. And I think that this plan that he has laid down was something that he talked about all the way back before he was even given, the seat next to the right hand of Satya Nadella. But let's get Tempest Son's opinion on this. But Tempest, before I do that, I got to shout out a very good friend of the show. Yosemite Blam is here. Welcome, brother. Long time no see. He's drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, I love you. Boom. Well, I love you too there, Yosemite. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hopefully you are enjoying the content and definitely appreciate the generosity. Tempest Son, listen, Jez dropped some incredible bombs there. And obviously he works at Windows Central. He has connections. He said it. I don't want to get people's expectations so people aren't disappointed, but he did have some powerful things to say. Are you excited to see what third-party exclusives come to Game Pass? And are you surprised that Phil Spenser is leading the charge?
Not surprised at all, man. Honestly, I think we're just now getting the start of it. I think it's not the biggest game out there right now, but Game Pass is going to do wonders for Outriders, and that's just the start of it. Honestly, a lot more is going to happen. I saw a very for somebody like me who loves the Japanese region, Korea, all that stuff. They make stuff nobody else does, right? And you're either a fan of it or you don't care. But I'm a fan, right? One of the things that stuck out to me was Phil Spenser when he opened up and actually spoke sounded like decent Japanese when he did the Tokyo Game Show. Right after that, he started doing his spiel and making his intro, and he listed off a bunch of notable franchises from Japan that he feels are integral to the video game scene, period. And the only one that he mentioned on there was Persona. He mentioned Persona in that video, and that is the only one that has not made an appearance now on Xbox. You now have Dragon Quest. You even have a new Switch exclusive. It's only gone to a streaming service and Steam outside of Switch, and that's Octopath Traveler.
That's a big deal, dude. That's a big deal.
Not enough people are talking about it. That game sold, I think, over 2 million copies, which, look at it. You look at that game, and then you decide if that's a 2 million plus seller. Well, it did it. A lot of people love that game. That game is hitting Xbox before PlayStation.
Yes.
Like how, honestly. But yeah, I think the next big game that's going to wow people, whether you decide to play it or not, whether you even like it or not, is Persona. I think the Persona series is coming. I think,
dude, we're going to be talking about that on tomorrow's show, and we got some good information that is hitting Xbox Game Pass soon.
Well, when it hits, it's going to make a lot of people Persona fans. I truly believe they're some of the best games. Listen, I think it got knocked down to about the 4th spot on my list of favorite games of all time, but Persona 4 Golden is there, man. It's like in my 4th spot, if you will. I absolutely love the Persona series. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It is not. But if you like it, talk about a content-packed, well-written, awesome series, man. All of them. But starting from 3 all the way to 5, and I haven't even played Royal yet. So if they get the Royal edition of Persona 5 and it goes straight into Game Pass, like, wow, like, honestly. And,
well, that is what's going to drive sales for Game Pass in Japan, dude. Like,
but yeah, playing that on the go. Thank you. Playing that, especially a game like that, where it's a traditional JRPG, it's turn-based action. I've never seen a more perfect fit for screen controls or just having a little bit of input latency, if you will. Perfect. That Octopath Traveler, they have that on the Switch, of course, and there's a billion Switches out there in Japan being sold, and like they sell like hotcakes. But I'm just saying, more stuff like that on the Switch, which is currently not on the Switch, but being able to play that through xCloud is going to be huge over there. It almost has to be. Like, that would be unheard of, really. It's one of those franchises that is just known as being a PlayStation game. As a matter of fact, the actual Persona 5 or Persona 4 isn't on Nintendo Switch yet. So I guess that's where I was getting at, is Persona 5 handheld, technically speaking, through xCloud before Nintendo even gets it over in Japan. So that would move some units over there, or at least it would move xCloud, subscriptions or whatever for Game Pass. But that's not the only one. There's more stuff coming, man. I'll be honest with you. I don't really think anything's off the table at this point. Microsoft is not shying away from spending money. And like I said before, I think Outriders is going to speak volumes to some of these companies.
I agree. Yep.
And I don't think they're going to have to spend that much money. I think it's just going to start making sense for some of these companies to do this stuff. I can't even think of any individual like games really. Like, one big one is they could do Elden Ring. If they put Elden Ring on Game Pass, day and date, it's over, man. I mean,
well, they got the marketing rights for it, so who knows at this point?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit. Listen, one thing that spoke volumes to me is Aaron Greenberg had a thread on Twitter going over his experience going to the Bethesda studios. and he documented it. It was like his little, I guess, blog, if you will. And one thing he said, no matter where he is, he uses any opportunity he has to game. He took a behind the shot of Phil Spenser, and he was waiting at the airport. What does Phil Spenser do? He busts out a tablet of some sort, or the flip duo, whatever the frick that's called, and he starts playing xCloud, playing Destiny.
Yeah.
The guy, honestly, we're not just saying this. It's not some PR thing. The dude is a gamer. And he said multiple times, like for me personally, that Japan's important, and it bothers him. It like makes him sick when he sees games not coming to his platform. Xbox is his platform. He saved this franchise, or not franchise, but you know what I mean. He saved
he saved the platform.
itself,
He single-handedly saved Xbox.
He did. It is his baby. And you know what? When he says that something is important to him, it just happens, man. I don't know. He did the one thing I don't think anybody thought he could do, and that was convince the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella. You know, it took him a week, but he sat him down and he convinced him to go all in. What happens when you take $1 trillion company to go all in, and the man in charge is an actual gamer who legitimately gives a crap about his platform, right? This is the stuff you're going to start seeing. And, I wouldn't be too scared of it, because the more Microsoft acquires, the more deals they make, it's the better for us, because we don't have to go and spend full price on these products. And that is okay, because at the end of the day, Microsoft is going to end up making their money, and the developers are going to make their money. So the more that they have, the more deals they make, the more money we save, and the more we get to play. And the games themselves are stronger than they're ever going to be, because they have such a huge install base right off the rip. So it's just good.
It's very exciting times, to say the least. Let's get Cotton McCast in here. Cotton, before I do, let me thank, wow, 2 big super chats came in. One from Nightwolf 3186, a generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, gonna have fun with this one. Hear me out. LOL. I'm gonna die on this hill and keep beating this drum no matter what. Boom. Phil is most excited about a new Splinter Cell. A guy can dream. Listen. You know what? From your mouth to the gaming god's ears, if they were to somehow lock a new Splinter Cell for an exclusive, man. And here's the thing, folks. We've been hearing from several big-time, industry insiders, quote-unquote, and leakers, that Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox Game Pass. Folks, let me tell you something. When that happens, not if, that's a mic drop moment. That may not be exclusive content, but you are getting their games day and date. That's like first party stuff in your subscription to Xbox Game Pass. If that happens, folks, I'm going to do a live stream no matter when they announce that. It could be midnight. I'm going to wake up Mrs. Boom, and she's going to be pissed, but I'm going to do the stream anyway. But JD Gamer drops a very generous $20 super chat and says this. Imagine if Microsoft buys Asobo, IO Interactive, Techland, then WB, and Capcom. 2 publishers get the same deal as Bethesda and split up XGS into 2 sets of 9 studios, with Matt Booty in charge of the Alpha team, Mr. Hines in charge of the Omega team. Listen, dude, what you're talking about is madness. But you know something? I want to follow you down this path of madness, because I like what you are putting down. Cotton, listen, Phil Spenser is making these big third-party deals. He has been handshaking with everyone. As a matter of fact, we've heard at the beginning of 2021 that there has not been one publisher/developer that has not already been approached by Microsoft. Now, we're hearing there's a line starting to form to get into Game Pass. What are your thoughts on these third-party exclusive deals?
Outstanding, dude. I'm not surprised. Just like Tempest said, I mean, they've been pushing the ball. They've been pushing it, dude. And what Super Chat just said, like Asobo, IO, things like that would be crazy. But I'd love to see them do more things third party, obviously, especially coming straight into Game Pass. I think it's things like what Avalanche is working on, or getting. I really want to see that Harry Potter game come to Game Pass, dude. Big time.
That would be kind of dope, dude.
Especially after it was showed off at the PS5 showcase that they had last year. I don't know, dude. I don't know what to expect from them at this point when we were all going on for weeks at a time talking about WB, and then they come out with Bethesda, and everyone wants Capcom, like the type of deals they could be making and partnerships that they're working towards. It's up in the air, dude. They could honestly do anything, in my opinion, right now. I don't know exactly. I'm not in on all the rumors and stuff lately, or what it could be in the down the pipeline, but a Sobo would be killer, dude.
Yeah.
Persona, I had no idea that was something that could be coming soon.
Dude, yeah, we're going to be talking about it. As a matter of fact, we got that information from Industry Insider Special Ed. I have a whole story that we're going to be breaking down as to why that's coming. But yeah, dude, according to him, that's coming to Xbox Game Pass, and it's coming soon. That's a big deal,
huge.
dude.
Yeah, dude, that's huge. I've seen just even stuff with like other sort of brands. Like I see everyone talking about Xbox maybe doing stuff work either acquiring or partnering with Discord. There's just all sorts of stuff. It doesn't have to be just strictly games. They're like completely innovating and leveling up what you know as Xbox as a whole right now. Like just moving forward, I just don't know what to expect from them, but I know it's promising, dude. And most things that they're working towards are going to go to Game Pass, and it's just value. It's the best thing since sliced bread, like you've said, and it's only getting sweeter.
Yeah, dude, it's very exciting times to say the least. And then as we close out tonight's show, Crispy Bomb. First of all, thanks so much for jumping in. Definitely appreciate you being here. You said when you first got into the show, you love Xbox Game Pass. And a lot of people do because what they're offering, it seems like, listen, nobody wants a pandemic, but it just seems like they happen to be in the right place at the right time, offering the best bang for your buck. And quite frankly, $15 a month, offering over 375 games with more third-party exclusives to come, according to what Jez Corden had to say. What are your thoughts on what they're looking to do at Xbox? I mean, I said this before, and I'll say it again. I think they have painted Sony into a corner.
Well, I will say this. Are we because the one thing I look at is you have first party, you have Microsoft owns the studio that's making it. You have second party. Second party is basically it's never going to see the light of day on another console, any platform that they don't want it to be on. Okay, then you have third party. Third party, they could say, okay, Date and Game Pass, it's good there, and we're gonna release the full game on everybody else's platform. My thing is a lot of people forget, and I'm gonna ask this to the panel, and the first one to answer: what's the 3 games you think of when you think of Xbox?
Oh, well, I mean, you think of Halo, Gears, and Forza. I mean, that's
the only one that was completely built by Microsoft was Turn 10 with Forza. That is the only one. Okay. Now you have like you brought up Asobo, for example. Asobo was not the original developer of the flight simulator. It was not. It became the developer over time, and they are a developer that can free will, if they're not signed into a contract, do what they want. What I'm telling you people is that anyone that is making a game exclusively for the Microsoft platform, because that's where we're at this point. It doesn't matter if it's Xbox, PC, whatever. As long as it's on a Microsoft platform, they could potentially be purchased. And the only reason why I say that is because you look at the 360 generation. Halo was bought or technically withheld from Bungie in 2007. And then you have Gears was purchased from Epic. Epic, think about this. Fortnite, everything else was purchased from Epic in 2014. Are you serious? Because if you think about the 360, you know why the 360 sold so well? Because it had great freaking exclusives, and they weren't really exclusives. That's the problem. They were made by developers that were not inside of Microsoft. Yeah. That's the crazy thing. So
talk about it, Crispy.
What a lot of people don't realize is Phil's old school, man. And you know what? He sees somebody like Bloober Team making Blair Witch, not the greatest game, but it builds up to the medium. And then all of a sudden it builds up to what they really want to do. Because, you know, Microsoft's like, hey, we'll give you a little money. Hey, we'll give you more money. Hey, we'll give you a lot of money. Hey, we're just going to buy you. Dude, that's the way they roll. But you know what? For those developers, the thing that hurts them the most is that if they don't have that cash flow, they really feel like they can't do what they want to do. And the one thing Microsoft lets them do is do what they want to do, even if they give them the cash flow and they buy them. And you can see it, dude. Like, you have such old school, old. Obsidian is an old game developer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Double Fine. Old game developer. And you still have the heads of those studios sitting there and being like, I'm down for this. You guys are letting me do what I want. They're like, yeah, we got Game Pass. Hey, bring us whatever game you want. And you know what? You might not like it. You 30, 33-year-old like myself, you might not like it. But if your 12-year-old likes it, you're going to like it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? And dude, that's the beauty of Game Pass. I've played games that I never would have played. And it's not just because of myself. It's because the people around me enjoyed it.
Great
and
point.
that's the problem. That's where I get the hate on Twitter. And I'm like, dude, it's all objective. I like multiplayer, story-driven games, but have a huge multiplayer aspect to it. You like single-player, story-driven games, and I'm not hating you for it, but why you hate me for what I like? Why are we doing this? Why is it even an argument right now? Like, instead, just be like, hey, you know what? You're good. And that's exactly what I would say. But why do I have to argue with you about it? Like, this is the problem. Like, dude, we have so many games on Game Pass to play at this point that I don't know what to do with myself at the time. I don't know what game to play. And of course, I'm always going to be like Gears. You know, when I want to unwind, it's Gears. Because Gears is easy to me. For other people, it's extremely hard. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I could literally not have any type of noise in my headphones. I could have it muted, taken off, and I can play that game easily. And some people experience that, even like Titanfall. Like, I know those people that I've played in the multiplayer realm literally probably don't even talk at all. Yeah. They just know what to do. So if that's what you enjoy, that's fine. That's the point. And the one thing that Game Pass gives you this total variety of what you enjoy. And it could be you, it could be your daughter, it could be your girlfriend, it could be whoever. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen.
Hey, just one thing, Boom. You know what I always find hilarious? People always say, oh, Halo, Gears, and Forza. But no one ever says about Nintendo like Mario, Zelda, and Mario Kart. Like, that's the reason you buy these things.
Yeah.
I always... It grinds my gears, but I'm sorry.
No. I mean, listen. Again, this is again. We've seen it more times than not that unfortunately people love narratives, and we're seeing it now. We're not going to talk about it now because we're obviously about to do the outros. But there's been a big running narrative that we're going to break down on tomorrow's show about having to spend $15 on the Dolby Atmos app, and somehow or another Microsoft duped you to spending $100. Folks, this is a real running narrative. Folks, people are doing videos on how Microsoft is making you buy $100 headphones and then charging you $15 a month for Dolby Atmos when it's not.
So actually, quick story for you, Boom. I bought a rig that had the Dolby Atmos card.
Yeah.
I downloaded Dolby Atmos card. I sent back the rig because it wasn't correct. I didn't like the way it felt, everything.
It was awful.
I still have the Dolby Atmos
Sure you
for
do.
nothing, and I have it on my Turtle Beaches now.
Well, there you go.
Tell me what's the problem with that? And $15. Hey, how about arguing about $70? I mean, for a game. Like, how about arguing about that? Like, let's go.
You know what? Listen, tune in tomorrow. We're gonna open up the show with that. I have some show notes that are gonna make you folks laugh. But listen, this has been a great I can't believe it's been over 2 hours. This was, I didn't even, when you're having so much fun, you never watch the clock. Well, that's what happened tonight. We got to all 3 topics, had 2 special guests, and everyone completely knocked it out of the park. So let's get to the outros. We're gonna start with our guest, Corden. Thanks again for being here, brother. Super appreciate the energy that you bring to each and every show you're on. Of course, the knowledge that follows. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, where could people reach out to you on Xbox Live if they want to team up and potentially do some sniping with you?
Thanks, dude. Yeah, thanks for having me. As always, I had a great time. Shout out to everyone on the panel. It's cool talking to you guys. You can hit me up on Twitter. It's Cotton McCast. And on Xbox, my gamer tag is Terryfold. I've been playing a lot of Halo recently. I've really got in the mood after that tournament. Looking forward to play some more. We need to start our own tournament.
Yeah,
we need to do something. So, hit me up. DM me there or add me.
Well, thanks so much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Obviously we had a lot of fun, but man, Halo is old. I mean,
I'm ready for new.
I'm ready for Infinite. I'm ready to see what they bring to the table. I honestly cannot wait to see a modern Halo. I want to be able to dash. I want to be able to sprint. I want to do the modern things I could do here, right here in this game that you've seen me play the entire show. But thanks so much for being here. Crispy Bomb, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, strike up a conversation. And more importantly, where are you showing up next?
Man, it is great. I always love coming through the back door sometimes, especially when Boom says, hey, you want to join? Hell yeah, dude. I mean, great conversation. I love you all. I love the chat. I mean, you guys are awesome. And I will confirm one thing. It's a world premiere on Primetime Gaming that I have literally all 3 consoles in my house now because my girlfriend has moved in and her son has a Wii. Has a Wii U, has a Switch, and he has a PS4. So
nice. I
have things to do over time whenever I find the time, because right now it's been crazy. But it's at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 on Xbox Live, and you can find me on Retro Renegades tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I don't know. I mean, my voice might be on there. I don't know what Jay's doing with my voice, but you got to love my voice. I'm just saying. And you got the next podcast, 8 p.m. Thursday, and of course. Breakfast of Boom, not these next couple of weeks because I got a lot of things going on, but I will be back as soon as I can.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely get you back in a couple of weeks, but thanks so much for being here, dude. Next up, let's go to Middle-Aged Gamer Guy. Mag, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, strike up a conversation, and more importantly, what else you got going on.
Well, yes, you can follow me on Twitter at the Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end. And guys, help me out. I'm about not even 20 away from 1,000 followers. I'm super excited about it. It's only been about 7 months I've been doing this. So, guys, everybody who is following me, I appreciate the support and help a brother out. Come on, man.
Yeah, let's get him to 1,000 tonight, folks. Come on, head over to Twitter and tell everyone where they can get you past that 1,000 mark there.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, guys. As for other things, yes, on the gaming side of things, you could follow me on the Xbox Series X and, of course, the PlayStation 5 at all one word, all capitals, because I don't know how to be quiet. I am the Mag. You can follow me there. And yes, you will find me here every Monday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Mr. Boomstick XL and friends. Every Tuesday night, you will find me at 10 p.m. That is tomorrow night. And you know what? Boom, you were saying you don't know where Crispy Bomb's going to end up next. He's probably going to end up at the show with me again. I think I've done like 7 podcasts in a row, and all of a sudden, Crispy just keeps sliding in through the back door. It's like he paid off the bouncer and slipped into the club every time. but I love
Dude,
him. I love
always
you, bro.
gotta pay off the bouncer, bro. Come on,
I know.
man.
Well,
Like,
obviously, you're an excellent palm greaser there, Crispy. Every podcast I look, I go, he's here again. This son of a bitch.
no, I pay with money. I pay with money. I don't grease the palm, bro. No.
Well,
listen,
I'm looking forward to it. But yes, Tuesday
Yeah.
night, gaming after dark with Noof Nukem and Titan Drago. And I am working on some other things with, of course, Pulse Music Media. We are working on that music and gaming sessions. We have a couple more episodes coming. They should be here in the next month or so. And yes, other than that, guys, I look forward to next week already. We had a great show tonight. Guys, chat, everybody, you've been amazing. And we'll see you all next week.
Well, thanks so much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And Everborn Saga, you brought your knowledge cap as always. Thank you so much for being here. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, let's talk a little bit about the Everborn Saga and what you got going on with that.
Okay, yes. So we are approaching the final week of the Kickstarter campaign. I am so thankful to everyone, but guess what? We are literally $28 away from hitting our first stretch goal.
Nice,
and what does that mean
dude.
to everyone? Everyone will be automatically upgraded to a limited print run of a hardcover edition of Prince of Arcadia Ultimate Edition, right? And you can't buy this, right? It's only going to be available inside of this campaign. $28, everybody gets that for free. The next tier will fund Prince of Arcadia Chapter 4, and the final stretch goal is to fund the Everborn novel. And if you're into sort of hard fantasy and you want to get into the world and the lore, if we get there to that last tier, stretch goal tier, then we'll be able to get an editor on board so that we can release a novel if you guys are into that thing. So you can find that at everbornsaga.com. Just click the link at the top. It is the campaign for Everborn Ariel's Adventure Chapter 1. It's the new series we're launching. Prince of Arcadia you can get right now from, again, everbornsaga.com. But all of these things are available in the campaign. Check it out. You'll get like a shirt. You can get a shirt like you see the one I'm wearing. I don't know if you guys noticed. I changed in the middle of the show. And you'll get like some wall art like you see behind me. I don't know, wherever it is behind me. And you can also find me on Twitter at Everborn Saga, and Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox, all Everborn Saga. Check it out. Again, $28 away. Everborn Saga, click the link at the top. It'll take you straight to the campaign. Very cool. And you can check out the animated story trailer that we did. So very excited. We're in the home stretch, people. And thank you, everyone so far who has contributed. And thank you for the people who shared it. And thank you for the people who get the book and show it on their respective social media pages. I cannot tell you how much it means. And the last thing I have is a question I have for everybody who's into the book. Are you Team Godwin or Team Baltimore? Hit me up on Everborn Saga and let me know.
Nice. Well, thanks so much for that. And last and no way least, our sniper elite, who will shoot you in the face, will build a Gundam model in your honor. Please, let's give it up for Tempest, son. Tempest, thanks so much for being here, brother.
Oh, no problem. You can find me here every week. I'm glad I got to make it. Life comes at you quick, and stuff happens. But I'm glad I could be here. Thank you once again, Boom. You can also find me on Twitter at the Tempest Sun, and my gamer tag is Tempest Sun. And I don't know when it's coming. Soon. I now have Adobe Premiere. I got equipment.
Nice.
I got proper, I guess, airbrush model equipment. I got everything I pretty much need to start. I have a huge backlog of models I haven't built yet. So yes, I will have a channel sometime soon. I might have to stockpile some stuff, so I have something to go off of as I continue to do it. But in a month, 2 months, who knows? But eventually I actually will have my own channel finally.
Nice, dude.
I'm passionate enough about it. I've done it enough. I'm still relatively new to the hobby, but I'm so into it. It's it's hit me every bit as hard as what gaming has recently. So yeah, now I will be able to play Titanfall 3 while 360 no scoping somebody and building a model at the same time. Who can say that?
I love it.
Well,
Listen, obviously we're gonna help push that channel once it goes live,
Cool,
and obviously we want to see you do what you're passionate about. And obviously, Gundam model building is definitely one of those. But listen, folks, this has been a great show. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out nearly 2.5 hours of your Monday night. Don't forget, tomorrow afternoon at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the new episode of Xbox. Well, see, I changed the title. It's no longer Xbox One-on-One. You're just getting a bonus second episode of the Xbox Factor podcast because we added Pong Soul to the panel. So obviously I had to do some adjusting. But thanks to Dinero Panero, the new intro that you saw for Xbox One-on-One is going to be the intro. It just says Xbox Factor podcast. That goes live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, and it's going to be a big show. Hopefully you will tune in for that. But everyone, listen, this has been a great show. Thank you so much for the incredible super chats that continue to come in. Of course, generosity is more humbling than words that I could actually speak. So thank you again. But listen, I want to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And I think now more than ever, it's super important and relevant. Treat others how you want to be treated. Also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.